Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports Network.
They can follow their dreams.
Your ad could be ran here. myjbn.com/support. myjbn.com/support for more information.
Welcome back to the BCSN SportWrap. Bryan and A.D. And that's A.D. Drew right there in the nice freeze frame photo. I'm Brian Fulford. Make sure you follow us on social media. There's Drew live and direct. Follow him on Twitter at BCSN Drew. Follow me on Twitter at DRB365. You can always support the Sports Wrap and the Black College Sports Network by going to myjbn.com/support. And feel free to give us a cup of coffee if you don't mind. So we can continue to keep doing what it is that we're doing. And what we're doing right now is talking about our postseason awards, the BCSN men and women's basketball awards. So we've done the women. We've announced the All-American teams, players of the year, coaches of the year. Just curious, where do you think the most controversy when this comes out, where might people be buzzing, Drew? What are they going to be buzzing about? What do you think?
I think definitely going to get a little bit of buzz on Division-I women's player of the year. Which
that was probably the most
Rogan and Lewis. I think there's definitely going to be some conversation from some SWAC heads on that one.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to hear what SWAC folks think about.
I think the other 5 that we had chosen by our panel were pretty much spot on.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into talking about the All-American team for the men. And I want to make sure I get all my stuff pulled up together here. We start with the NAIA men, and our All-American team consists of, first off, Malik Amos from Dillard University. And Malik, in this very shortened season for Dillard, averaged 19.11 points a game. Very disappointing that we didn't get a chance to see him in the conference tournament. Obviously, no different than a lot of programs. Dillard just had problems being able to deal with the COVID stuff. I don't know whether it was internally or just external factors that just affected them. But Amos was a first-team All-GCAC player. I believe he was last year as well. He also was an NAIA national, I want to make sure I say it right, an All-American honorable mention. NAIA All-American honorable mention. So averaged 19.11 a game, shot 40% from the field, 31% from the three-point arc, and 85% at the free throw line. So again, Malik Amos. And I don't know what Malik's actual classification is. I feel like he's at least I'm trying to see if I can look at Dillard's roster. He's a senior. So
I remember seeing him in a tournament we've done at the last 3 GCAC tournaments. I do remember seeing him in all of the above.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see if he decides to come back down the road. Also on the first team in the NAIA level, how about Daryl Baker from Talladega College? And, of course, Talladega with the 25-5 record, 7-1 in the GCAC. He was a first-team selection. They won the regular season. Baker led the conference in free throw percentage at 89.9%. He averaged 15.4 a game, which I think led Talladega in scoring, or was like I think he led them in scoring, or either he was like one or right behind somebody else. 4.5 rebounds a game, 3 assists a game, shot 45% from the field, just under 36% from the arc. Daryl Baker, Talladega College.
Bryan.
Yeah.
The fact that Dega played 30 games in a COVID season, no more needs to be said.
Amazing. That's all I can really say. I can't really say that any clearer than that. Rayshawn Mart from Xavier. We know Xavier. We know Rayshawn very well. He was Xavier was the GCAC tournament champions. He was the player of the year. He was the tournament MVP. He was a BCSN 2-time player of the week, 3-time GCAC player of the week. Number 4 in the nation in steals and number 16 in scoring per game. He led the conference in scoring and steals average and was 5th in rebounds. The man did it all. He led so many statistical categories. Averaged 21.6 a game, 6.6 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 2.8 steals, 46% from the field, 35.2 from the arc, shot 69% at the free throw line. Seems low, but he still averaged what he did, even at that level. So Rayshawn Mart, of course, on that first team. Devin Merriweather from Stillman College on the first team. And Stillman had an outstanding record of 17-4. They were 14-3 in the SSAC. They were the West Division champs. Merriweather was a first-team All-SSAC selection. He was 18th in the nation in assists per game at 5.2. He was number 2 in the conference in assists per game. Averaged 16.2 points a game, 2.8 rebounds. I gave you the assists, 1.2 steals, 50% from the field, 30% from the three-point line, and 82.4 at the free throw line. That was Devin Merriweather. And you thought that was good? Well, his teammate Trey Better, Trey Petty. Play on words right there, right? Trey was just a little bit better. And Trey Petty, his teammate at Stillman, he was the co-player of the year in the conference. Trey Petty was. He was also a 3-time SSAC. Is it SSC or SSAC? Southern States Athletic
Conference.
Yeah, player of the week. He was a BCSN player of the week twice. He was number 4 in the conference in scoring, number 2 in steals, number 5 in field goal percentage. He averaged 18 points a game, 6.6 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 1.6 steals, shot 50% from the field as well. Imagine having 2 guards shooting 50% from the field. Ridiculous.
And he had a triple-double on the season.
Yes, I wrote this down, one of maybe 8 players to have a triple-double in NAIA. One of 8. 70% from the arc. 70% from the free throw line. The 45%, I think that was glossed over.
I think 70% from the arc.
No, yeah, well, hell, he was 45%, which is unusually high. So
pretty doggone good too.
Yeah, you're not gonna get 70, but 45. Most coaches will take 45, no doubt. Let's move over to the second team, NAIA. We're gonna start with the big man from Florida Memorial, Mubashar Ali, and I believe Mubashar was, in terms of the national stats, he was 10th in the nation in rebounds per game, 10.71. He was 20th in blocks per game, and he had the 6th most double-doubles with 14 during the course of the year.
You know what's amazing about him, Bryan?
What's that?
He wasn't even the tallest player on the team.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
at 7 foot.
Yeah, 7 foot was not the tallest guy. That's a good point. Very good point. Ladarius Carter third member of the Stillman College Big Three. He was a second-team all-conference selection. How about Tony Hudson from Talladega College? Tony was a first-team all-GCAC, I believe. I don't have. I thought I had his numbers, his stat numbers, right with me, but I don't. So yeah, Tony Hudson. Excuse me, HUD. Excuse me, SON. Mekhi Richard from Xavier. He was, I believe, a second-team all-conference, but he was a All-American honorable mention in NAIA. So that's pretty heavy. There were only about there's maybe about 5 HBCU guys that were recognized as All-Americans by NAIA. You had, I believe, somebody made second, somebody made third, or no, Mart made first, Petty made second, and then we had 3 guys on the All-American honorable mention group. But anyway, Mekhi Richard made that list. And then we had from Voorhees, we had Hector Rosario. He too was an NAIA All-American honorable mention. And Hector helped lead Voorhees to an appearance in the NAIA national tournament out of winning their conference, the AII, as for the independent schools.
Association of Independent Institutions.
Association of Independent, yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm glad you have that. I was like, blah, blah, blah.
Something about those acronyms.
I just know it was the AII, as far as I was going to go with that. All right, let's move over to Division-II now. Our Division-II All-American team, we're going to start with Glenn Abram from West Virginia State. Glenn averaged, West Virginia State was a 9-7 team. They only played conference schedule, so they were in the MEC. He was a first-team All-MEC, as well as a BCSN Player of the Week. He was second in the conference in scoring at 22.9 points a game, 4.8 rebounds a game, 3 assists a game, 1.3 steals, 41% from the field, 37 from the three-point line, 77.6 from the free throw line as well. From Tuskegee University, you had Greg Boyd, and Tuskegee's men were 6-7 on the year, but in 10 games played, Greg averaged 16.7 points a game, 2.4 rebounds a game, 2.8 assists a game, 44.1 field goal percent, 40% from the three-point arc, and a 94% free throw shooter. Woo! Mr. Boyd does not miss too many times. From Lincoln, Missouri, Quentin Drayton made the first team. Drayton averaged 16.1 points a game in 23 games played this year for Lincoln, Missouri. So, you know, Quentin, a part of a very dynamic group of players over at Lincoln, Missouri. They definitely had a very tough schedule this year.
Very? That's the best acronym you could come up with? Adjective was very?
Shortest? It's the shortest one I could come up with. You know, they actually played the national champions.
They had, what, 3 or 4 top 20 teams in their conference, including the national champions were in their conference. And
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, they should have beaten that Northwest Missouri State team both times they played them. Because one game went to overtime or was at the buzzer.
One game was at the buzzer. The second one was at the buzzer. The first game, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the stats on the first game. The score was not as close as it was from the first time. So, but yeah, Quentin Drayton from Lincoln, Missouri. Anthony Pittman from West Virginia State. So that's 2 West Virginia State jackets. He was a first-team all-conference selection. He was our player. He was a player of the week one time. He led the conference in rebounding and blocks per game. So, again, think about this. Abram led the conference in scoring. Pittman led the conference in rebounding and block average. 17.4 points a game, 9.4 rebounds, just under 2 steals a game, just under 2 blocks a game, 58% from the field, a 78.4% free throw shooter was Anthony Pittman. And then there was Cy Witt from Lincoln, Missouri as well. So that's 2 guys from Lincoln, Missouri. Cy and Lincoln, their record on the year was 12-11 overall, 12-10 in the conference. Cy was a second-team All-MIAA, which is the conference that they're in. He was a BCSN Player of the Week once. He averaged 15.9 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, 1.5 assists, 1.4 steals a game, 56.6 field goal percent of 54 at the free throw line. The second team for Division-II begins with Avery Brown from Miles College. Avery averaged 17.3 a game. He had an assist-to-turnover ratio that ranked 35th in the nation at 2.32. Averaged 1.8 steals a game, 5 assists a game. So Avery Brown, even though Miles didn't play a lot of games, he had some good numbers. Taj Green from Benedict, who averaged 15 points a game, 9.4 rebounds, and that was 24th best average in rebounds for Taj Green. Jeremiah Moore from West Virginia State makes it the 3rd West Virginia State Yellow Jacket. Is it Yellow Jacket or just Hornets?
Yellow Jacket.
That's what I thought. Yellow Jacket. Jeremiah, in 13 games, he averaged 18.8 points a game, 8.7 rebounds a game. From the field, he was the 11th best field goal percent average at 62.66%. So Jeremiah Moore, the 3rd member from West Virginia State. Malik Parker from Albany State made the list. Malik averaged 16.8 points a game. And from the three-point line, he shot 36.71%, which nationally I think was 70th best or 72nd best, I believe. And then you had Cameron Potts from Lincoln, Missouri. And Cameron, while he may not have averaged, I'm trying to look for his points a game, I will say that Cameron Potts, he was 16th in the nation in assists per game at 5.4. He was 31st in the nation in the steals per game at just about 2. His assist-to-turnover ratio was a 1.54. He was one of 7 players to record a triple-double in Division-II basketball this season. One of 7 to record a triple-double. So, you know, we've got 3 players from Lincoln, Missouri, 3 players from West Virginia State, and yeah, that was our most. Yeah, those were our 2. Those are our 2 primary schools from Division-II. Anything I missed there that you want to add from the Division-II level, Drew?
No. I mean, I think we hit it. It's just, you know, 6 of your 10 players came from the same school, and in a division where not a lot of teams play, it may seem like that was everybody, but there were other Division-II teams that played. These were definitely the best of the best.
All right, moving over to Division-I now. Anthony Tart from Coppin State. Anthony Tart from Coppin State. Coppin had a 9-13 record overall, 8-4 in the conference. But Tart was the offensive player of the year, the defensive player of the year. I mean, very, very rarely do you get both awards. I don't know what the total number of times that's happened in the MEAC, but even in a year like this, it's pretty impressive that he was recognized for both. He was a first team All MEAC. He was a player of the week 3 times. He was a defensive player of the week 5 times. He's a Lou Henson Award finalist. He's a Lefty Drizel Award finalist, an NABC All-District player. Averaged 16.1 a game, 8.2 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 2.6 steals, 1.9 blocks per game. 47.3% from the field, shot 32% from the arc, 56.1 from the free throw line. That was Anthony Tart. Jawan Daniels from Prairie View A&M made the list, and Prairie View finished with a 16-5 overall record, a perfect 13-0 in the SWAC regular season. Unfortunately for Daniels and Prairie View, they lost in the conference championship game to Texas Southern. That was Prairie View's, I believe, 3rd regular season championship. They were co-champs this year. Daniels was an all-SWAC second team player, another travesty. Second team, unbelievable. He was a 2-time SWAC player of the week, BCSN player of the week. He's number 2 in field goal percentage. Daniels averaged 15.4 a game, 6.1 rebounds, and 1.1 assists. Shot 55.8 from the field, 45.5 from the arc, Drew. My God, 45. That's ridiculous.
Hey, Bryan.
Yeah.
What's the home winning streak to now?
You know what?
Mid-30s?
I don't
About
know.
35, I think, by now.
I don't know. Maybe we'll bring it up here later on, but I think it is in the 30s. It may just be.
We call Mike Washington. He'll tell us.
The Baby Dome. Yeah, unbeaten, unbeatable in that place. Let's keep going here. On our first team, we've got Tristan Jarrett from Jackson State. He was the SWAC player of the year. Jackson State co-champs regular season. They finished 11-0, 12-6 overall, though. He was a SWAC first team player. He was a BCSN player twice. He was a SWAC player of the week twice. Averaged 21.1 a game, 5.3 rebounds a game, 1.4 assists, 1.4 steals, 57.4 from the field, 35.8 from the arc, 84% at the free throw line. Woo! Tristan Jarrett filling it up on a night in and night basis. His teammate, Javius McInnes, made the first team as well. McInnes was, let me pull up McInnes numbers here. If I'm not mistaken, McInnes led the nation, or I don't think he led the nation, but he was close to leading the nation in rebounds per game. I know he had good numbers in terms of the SWAC was concerned. He averaged 13.2, which I think was either maybe top 5, might even been as high as number 2 in the nation. In terms of scoring, McInnes averaged 12.5. So he was the only one who averaged a double-double, I believe. 12.5 assists, or 12.5 points a game. And what I say the rebounding was 13.2?
Yes.
13.2. So Javius McInnes putting in some solid numbers and earning a first team All-American. Definitely was a dynamic number 2 for Jackson State. If I'm going to call Tristan Jarrett 1A, Javius McInnes was 1B. And then we had Davion Warren of Hampton University. Hampton had an 11-14 overall record. They finished 9-9 in the Big South. Warren was the Big South Player of the Year. He was a first-team All Big South selection. NABC District First Team. He was a 4-time Player of the Week, 2-time BCSN Player of the Week, averaged 21.2 a game, 6.3 rebounds a game, 3 assists and 2 steals a game, shot 45% from the arc, 45% from the field, 30% from the arc, 75% at the free throw line. And the second team for Division-I consists of Troy Baxter from Morgan State. Baxter had very good numbers for Morgan State. Also consisted of Cameron Langley of North Carolina A&T, one of the nation leaders in steals and assists. Cam Mack from Prairie View A&M, he too also one of the nation leaders in assists. Datorian Ware from Morgan State. I think, Drew, Datorian Ware might be the only player on any level that was not a starter on his team. But while he may not have been a starter, he led the conference in scoring, 17 a game. So you talk about getting tremendous value from a young man. That would be what Morgan State Coach Broadus got from Datorian Ware. And, of course, who will forget the 2 30-point performances he put on in the first 2 games of the MEAC tournament. It's a shame that, well, not a shame because Norfolk State just did a great job of locking him up. But who knows what it would have looked like had Morgan and Ware actually got hot in that championship game. But, needless to say, it didn't happen. And then the 5th member of the Division-I All-American team, Michael Weathers from Texas Southern. Of course, Weathers played a key role all season long for Texas Southern in getting them to win the conference tournament where they, I believe, beat the 3 seed and the 2 seed. Or actually, other way around. They beat 2 and 1 because they were the 3 seed. Yeah. So they beat 2 and 1. So again, Division-I second team consists of Troy Baxter from Morgan State, Cam Langley from A&T, Cam Mack from Prairie View, Datorian Ware from Morgan, and Michael Weathers from Texas Southern. When we come
Brian,
back,
Brian, you talked about Morgan State. What about how those MEAC North teams just beat up on each other all season long throughout the basketball season? And number 2, I hope that everybody got a good look at these players while they were at your university, because about half of this list, it seems like, has either will be graduating or entering the portal.
Well, that's the thing. That's a big thing. These guys who get all of a sudden an opportunity, you're going to have bigger schools calling on them. And so as much as we'd like for them to stay and play another year, it just so happens that, the way the system works nowadays is the guys from mid-majors actually get a chance to play their last year or 2 at the upper tier programs because those guys missed them and the HBCUs developed them. And so you go where the grass is greener because being on the green grass is going to actually help you get to play professionally, and that's sort of the unfortunate reality, at least of the system right now, right?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately. All right, so any other final thoughts about our men's All-American teams, Drew?
Let's go ahead and take a break. Let's come back. Let's get to the players of the year, the coaches of the year, and get to our national champions.
I like the sounds of that. All right, we'll be back right after these words. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap with Bryan and A.D. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports Network. Welcome back to the BCSN SportWrap. Bryan and A.D. live and direct, not on mute, ready to bring it home here. Drew, make sure there you go.
I'm good.
All right.
I got a little background noise, so I was muting so it wouldn't get picked up.
Yeah, exactly. Be quiet back there in Drew's background. We got a show we're doing, doggone it. Hey, okay, let's get into our player of the year. And very similar to our women's player of the year, we want to thank the members of the HBCU Pro Sports Media Association, as well as you, the fans, who had a singular vote. All of the voting you did added up to one representative vote in this process. And so it's time to announce our just before I announce Drew, let me ask this. Which group do you think was the toughest to select the most the player of the year? Which level?
You talk about both men and women?
No, we're in the men. So
just on the men's side, I would say Division-I was pretty much cut and dry for me. Division-II, probably the NAIA.
That's interesting. You thought it was cut and dry for Division-I, huh?
Yeah, to me, I think it was cut and dry for me for Division-I.
Okay, you have to tell me off air who your vote was. I'm curious. Or you may have told me, but I forgot. I definitely think Division-I was the toughest. Yeah, I have to say Division-I was the toughest. But actually, Division-I might have been tough, but really because of the parity, I really think Division-II was really the hardest to separate because of the fact that you had teammates and then you had the parity factor. So I could easily see the voting coming down to the slimmest of margins in this category.
I think that's what happened on the NAIA level also, because we had a pair of teammates on the NAIA level and a pair of teammates on the Division-II level vying for Player of the Year.
Yeah, well, I think if you're good, you're good, and so, every team, trust me, whether you believe it or not, every team has a 1A and a 1B, or maybe a 1 and a 2. Sometimes it's a 1A and 1B. Sometimes it's a 1 and 2. But needless to say, here's our NAIA men's player of the year, he is none other than Rayshawn Mart from Xavier University. And again, Rayshawn just did everything for this team. And Rayshawn just does so many good things for Xavier. And he led them in so many statistical categories, and you know, well-deserving, nationally recognized as well, an All-American. So congratulations to Rayshawn Mart. Anything you want to add there about Mart, or just the NAIA Player of the Year, Drew?
No, I think, well, it's not necessarily about Mark, but Petty and Merriweather going head to head, I think split the vote from either one of them getting in. I'm not saying that Mark didn't deserve it because of that, but I think that was a factor to help Mark along the way.
Yeah, I love our voters, but I'm always curious. You know, Petty was the Player of the Year in the conference. Now, I don't think we had two players from the same school where one teammate was the Player of the Year in the conference and the other player won the National Player of the Year. So I really feel like if the conference select them as Player of the Year, you almost by default have to think of so-and-so as the National Player of the Year. You know what I'm saying? I just, now you may have differences of opinion within the conference, as we've seen, as to who should have probably been the Player of the Year in the conference. So maybe somebody jumps over someone else on a national level. But I just think on the same team, it should have been clear as day. And so, that's just my thought. So congratulations to Rayshawn Mart. Over on the Division-II side, it is Greg Boyd from Tuskegee. And of course, Greg, 16, just under 17 points a game, 2.4 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 40% from the three-point arc, 94% free throw shooting. Drew, what's your thoughts on Boyd? Do you think, you mentioned teammates taking votes away? Do you think the guys from West Virginia split from each other?
I think if it would have been one or the other in voting and there would have been a fourth candidate from another school, I think the voting would have been, once again, a lot closer, because you had one player from West Virginia who was one of the tops in the conferences in scoring. You had another player who was one of the tops in rebounds, blocks, but was still one of the top 10 in scoring in the conference. Also,
right,
you had two players on West Virginia. Actually, you had three good players on West Virginia, but you had two who had just tremendous numbers. And what we were haggling back and forth about, for those of us who were nominating, just put on the nominees, it was hard. It's like, which one of these two do we leave on? Can we actually justify leaving one on and taking the other one off? And we couldn't. That's why you had both players on the nominee list. Same thing in NAIA. You really couldn't leave one off without putting the other one up, because where one was outstanding in this category, this other one was outstanding in another category. So it's almost a LeBron James and Anthony Davis type situation.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Couldn't have said any better. So congratulations, Greg Boyd, Tuskegee University, Men's Player of the Year. From the Division-I level, the NCAA Division-I Player of the Year probably will be equally controversial. It's Tristan Jarrett from Jackson State, who, Tristan, of course, averaging 21.1 points a game. He was the SWAC Player of the Year, the SWAC regular season co-champs for Jackson State, who were co-champs at 11-0. Well deserving for Tristan, no doubt. So, all right. Well, again, congratulations. Thank God for graphics. Congratulations, Tristan Jarrett, for being the BCSN Men's Player of the Year. Apologize for any confusion there. Just, so much went into this, guys. I can't even tell you. So, trying to make sure we get all this right and stay coordinated was definitely a challenge. And so, again, congratulations, Tristan Jarrett from Jackson State, our Men's Player of the Year. Let's get into the coaches of the year from the NAIA. We're going to start with Coach John Teasley. And this was close, man, because we got to know some of the coaches on the NAIA level and some very good coaches, no doubt. But, Stillman went 17-14 this year. I think Coach Teasley, among the other candidates who I think were in this list, and I think I'm probably safe in saying that if you look at the candidates, you probably had people like Chris Wright at Talladega. You probably had Coach Williams at Xavier. Coach Teasley, his Stillman team was not expected to do what they did. I think Talladega and Xavier lived up to the expectations of preseason polls and rankings. But Stillman they were predicted to finish 5th in the conference. They went 17-4, won the West Division, ended up advancing to the round of 16. I mean, they went into the first tournament with a preseason ranking, I think, or not a preseason ranking, but they were ranked number 8, I think, or 12. There were 16 teams that got a bye. They were one of the 16. So I think their number was maybe 13 or 12. Drew, are you able to, you recall? Don't worry about it if you don't. But what Coach Tillman has done, or Teasley has done at Stillman, has been great since taking over the program. This is his 4th season. They've gone to the NAIA National Tournament every year. His record is 91-25 in those 4 seasons. That's a .784 win percentage, which is the best among NAIA programs. And that, we're talking Talladega, we're talking Xavier. Who else is it? Tougaloo would probably, other than this year, Tougaloo would have been in there. So we're talking the top NAIA programs. Stillman has been right there. So congratulations to Coach Teasley, our Coach of the Year. For Division-II, Fred Watson of Miles. And, again, because of the abbreviated and shortened season, not too many people knew, or not too many were aware of what Miles did this year. They were 10-1 this year. Only loss came to Tuskegee by 1 point. And who's to say that 1 point, that one loss may have cost Miles an opportunity to go into the playoffs.
It's a rival game, though, Brian. Anytime Tuskegee Miles get together in anything, it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, and throw the records out of the window, because there's been many years, and I say this as a Tuskegee alum, where Tuskegee has been on that upper swing, and Miles has been that dent in the armor.
Yeah. So, what Coach Watson has done over at Miles has been, tremendous over there. The previous 2 years prior to this year, they had won the regular season and the conference tournament. He's gone 45-13 over those 2 previous years. So I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of positive things. Next year, you're going to see Miles right back in the hunt of things easily come next year. So congratulations to Coach Watson on receiving that award as Coach of the Year for Division-II. And now our Division-I Coach of the Year, he is none other than Byron Smith. I was waiting on you to show the graphic. There we go. Prairie View A&M. The postseason awards come in for Coach Smith. He received the Hugh Durham Award from collegeinsider.com. That goes to the nation's top mid-major coach. He was the SWAC Coach of the Year. I believe for the third consecutive year, he was the SWAC Coach of the Year. This year's team went 16-15, even got into the top 25 of the final regular season mid-major poll. The only disappointing thing, I guess you could say, is that they lost in the tournament. You know, those things kind of happen sometimes, but it shouldn't take away from their accomplishments. They did win a regular season, or at least co-champs in the regular season, and they have that streak. They got that home winning streak in the Baby Dome as somewhere in the ballpark of 30.
It's mid-30s.
Okay, yeah, we still have. We'll figure it out by next show next year. No, just kidding. We'll figure it out. So again, all right, just to recap our Coach of the Years from the NAIA, John Teasley, D2, Fred Watson, and D1, Byron Smith. All right, so that's our men's All-American teams, Players of the Year, Coaches of the Year. And now we'll end the show. We'll get close to the end here. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for consuming the content from us. We definitely want to hear from you. Make sure to share your feedback and thoughts on who you thought. Who would you have voted for to be on the All-American team? Who would you have voted for to be the Player of the Year or Coach of the Year? You let us know, and we'd love to interact with you. And maybe we'll read your comments. If you got some good, insightful thoughts, we'll read those on the next SportsWrap show. So we've always done, well, I shouldn't say always, but this year, because of the COVID changes, we had to change our top 5 and our team rankings from a, Division-I, Division-II, NAIA to a more of a small school, large school, where now the small schools consist of the NAIA and Division-II. The large school primarily consists of all Division-Is. So let's start with the small school. And this is to recognize our women's national champion, the top-rated team in the BCSN women's small school rankings. We usually do top 5 around here, but we'll let you know. We'll let you into the top 10. So we're going to count it down from 10 to 1. Number 10 was Miles College from the SIAC, finished with a record of 9-12.
Give me just a second, Brian. Got a little bit of a
all right
right here.
Well, again, I will say one of the more interesting things about the rankings is so many of the programs this year finished at 500 or better. Only one program did not, or only 2 programs did not. Well, I checked that back. Now 3. I just can't count right now. But it's very rare, and like a lot of times, because some of our schools don't end up finishing very well and beating some of the non-conference teams that they should. And look, that's going to be one of the big talking points next year. Will the transfer portal add and improve HBCU's opportunities to win those non-conference games? You got to beat the other mid-majors to sort of get some national recognition and some national love. So we want to see if that can happen. How are we doing there, Drew? Do we need to take another break?
Yeah, let's take a quick break.
All right, so we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we will announce officially the men and women's national champions. You're watching and listening to the BCSN Sports Wrap with Bryan and A.D. We'll be back right after these words.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Your ad could be ran here. myjbn.com/support. myjbn.com/support for more information.
All right, here we go. Our top 10 women's small school division. Starting at number 10, Miles College. Finished the season with a record of 9-12. Number 9, West Virginia State with a record of 8-8. Number 8, Florida Memorial. Finished 10-11. I believe even at some point in time, Florida Memorial might have even been in the running in the top 5. Number 7, Langston finishes 7-8. And number 6, Benedict College finished their regular season 10-3. Those 3 losses only coming to Tuskegee. Here we go. Top 5. Number 5, Edward Waters College. Finished the regular season 12-5, lost in the GCAC tournament, conference tournament, shafted by the selection process, and missed out on a potential playoff berth. Rust College finished 12-2. Rust also could complain. You know, we had a great conversation during our tournament selection show with Coach Eric Jackson, talking about some issues and problems he had with the process. Number 3, Talladega finished at 15-3 for a good portion of the year. Talladega was sitting at number 1 for a good portion of the season. Talladega was number 1.
And notice, Brian, the 3 GCAC co-champions, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
In the final round.
Well, the one team that sort of threw a monkey wrench in all of their plans was our number 2 team, and that was Xavier, Louisiana. Xavier, New Orleans, finished 13-7. I think by them winning the GCAC tournament, it upset the apple cart for maybe 1, but probably 2 of those teams that we mentioned. But congratulations to Coach Browder and Xavier. Our 2021 small school women's national champion, Tuskegee University. The Golden Tigers finished 12-2. You know, just by the nature of their strength in the numbers and doing what they did this year and advancing. Look, they advanced to the tournament. They're the only one that got in. So you got to give them some credit. It'd have been interesting to see what would happen had Xavier won and advanced to the round of 16. You know, I think if Xavier would have advanced to the round of 16, Xavier might have jumped from 2-1. Very possible.
I think they would have had to get to the round of 8, mathematically.
Okay. All right. Well, again, congratulations to Coach Powell. You know, what a run from Tuskegee. I mean, they win the national champions. They get the coach of the year. They get the player of the year. In a COVID year, Drew, you may never see another year like this from your Golden Tigers. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I hope we get a few more of these.
Yeah, I know. I know you do. It's been a good year. Congratulations to everybody in the Tuskegee women's program. Okay, let's move over to the large school. Large school women's. Again, these are only Division-I teams. Number 10, from the MEAC, you've got Norfolk State, who finished 5-9. Number 9, from the SWAC, you've got Alcorn State, who finished 7-13. Number 8, Grambling State, who finished with an even 10-10. Number 8 is Alabama A&M.
Number 7.
Excuse me. Number 7, Alabama A&M, who finished 10-7. And then number 6, you have Southern University, who finished 12-11. Here's the top 5. And this has been fun to track all year because it has fluctuated, especially in the last month of the season. It fluctuated. Number 5, Morgan State. Morgan State finished 12-4. Another interesting thing, real quick, Drew, the win percentages on these final 5 teams. Think about it as I give the records, or I don't know, do we have the records up as well as this show?
Yes, it shows the record.
Okay, so yeah, just look at the records. Man, the win percentage is outstanding. Morgan State was 5. Number 4, Howard University, 15-4. Howard University, a former number 1 at one point during the season. Number 3, Alabama State, finished 16-4, conference runner-ups in the regular season as well as the tournament. Just could not get over the hump that is Jackson State the last 2 times they met him. Number 2, North Carolina A&T Aggies, sitting at 14-3. The Aggies had a great season. Can't take anything away from what they accomplished. That means our number 1 team from the Southwest Athletic Conference, Jackson State, with a finishing record of 18-6. So,
don't know where that came from on the graphic.
What's that?
They don't know where that record came from on the graphic. That was an edit error.
What is this? I can't even see. It's so small.
It said 12-11, but it was 18-6.
All right. So Jackson State. Sometimes, you just put up the names and you don't worry about the numbers. Jackson State, congratulations, our large school women's national champion.
Small school men.
Small school men. Starting at number 10, Allen University, 6-5. Now, again, small school makes up NAIA and Division-II. Number 9, Philander Smith, finished with a record of 9-10. Number 8, West Virginia State out of the Mountain East with a record of 9-7. Dillard finished 8-2 from the GCAC. That was 7. Number 6, Lincoln, Missouri, finished 12-11. 12-11. Okay, here we go. Top 5. Top 5 in the men's. Number 5, Edward Waters, finishes 12-8 regular season. Shout out to Coach Sumner and Edward Waters on a great season. Number 4, Miles College, 10-1. Of course, that one loss coming to Tuskegee, their rival. Number 3, Xavier, 14-5. They would have benefited from getting to the Sweet to the round of 16 as well. They got to the second day of the first tripod of the first tries and really had an opportunity to put it away. And possibly had they got to the round of 16, who knows?
Oh, only problem with that, Bryan, is number 2 and number 1 also won in the tournament.
Good point. Number 2 and number 1. And
well, excuse me, I'll let you say this.
Right, because it's really not a 2 and 1. Really what you mean is the top 2, because we actually end up with a split between the 2 teams remaining. So with Stillman finishing with a record of 17-3, Talladega finishing with a record of 25-5, we end up with actual co-national champs. Co-national champs between Talladega and Stillman. And so, I mean, just as impressive as Stillman getting to the round of 16, the fact that Talladega played 30 games, the fact that Talladega won 25 games, you can't dismiss either accomplishment because they're almost about equal. I mean, Stillman didn't play a non-conference schedule, so they didn't have the benefit of playing. And think about this: of the 20-something odd games that Talladega played, really only 6 plus maybe 2, 8 games were conference games.
7.
7. Well, okay, 7.
Yes, because they had the first round bye. They played 5 regular season games and then 2 in the tournament.
See? So the majority of their schedule, non-conference games. You know? So congratulations to Coach Wright and Talladega, Coach Teasley and Stillman for being our co-national champions in our small school divisions. And now let's get to the large school, all made up of Division-I teams. Number 10, Southern University finished at 8-11 from the SWAC. Number 9, Coppin State finished 9-13. Obviously, with Tart and his younger brother. I don't know if we'll see Anthony Tart back next season. Number 8, Hampton University finished 11-14. Great performance by Davion Warren. He too would be interesting to see if he comes back. Or
he's already in the portal.
He's already in the portal, already looking for other opportunities. Okay, that's how that works. Number 7, Grambling State, 12-12. Number 6, North Carolina A&T finishes 11-10. Of course, the unfortunate timing of a COVID test knocked them out of the MEAC tournament. And then some of the reports came out that it was a false positive. I mean, what can you do? I mean, when they have these such rigorous methods for their pandemic response, it doesn't give you much room to kind of alter the plan. So
there's no talking your way out of this.
No, it's hard to talk your way out of that. Although there probably should have been, in my opinion. Okay, number 5, top 5 on the men's side. Jackson State comes in at number 5 with 12-6 overall record. Of course, they were 11-0, I believe, in the regular season or in conference. Number 4, Morgan State, 14-8. Coach brought us with a good squad this year. Unfortunately, Morgan State couldn't get it done. After 2 big wins to get to the MEAC tournament championship, they couldn't get it done in the final game. Number 3, Prairie View A&M with a record of 16-5 Prairie View, I believe, of course, with the infamous streak, I'm going to guess 32 games without even looking yet. I'm guessing 32. Sound about right?
That sounds about right.
It may be more, but at least right now, that's what we're going with. Number 2. This is interesting. Texas Southern comes in the SWAC. Number 2, of course, won a game in the first 4. Had to get to, they were the 3 seed going into the SWAC tournament, had to knock off the 2 seed and then the 1 seed in order to get that opportunity. So congratulations to Texas Southern. That means, because you haven't heard their name, Norfolk State, with a record of 17-8, is our 2021 large school HBCU national champion. What was I? No, Norfolk State. You know what's interesting, Drew? Norfolk State is just a team. Because if you look at our All-American squad, you don't see one individual player from Norfolk State on our All-American squad, do you?
No, first nor second.
Yeah. So, I know there may be some people with some issues about that. But maybe the fact that Norfolk State won this team award might kind of ease any sore feelings that somebody might have about what they witnessed. What are your thoughts on the championship teams?
Back up to the women's team. And of the top 5 that finished the season in the top 5, I distinctly remember 4 of those top 5 holding the number 1 spot at one point in time or the other. I really believe A&T was the only team not to hold the number 1 spot, and they were always number 2 to someone else. It seemed like every poll, there was always one team who was slightly better in the ranking than A&T. And then when they were on the cusp of becoming the number 1 team, COVID shut them down.
I think Jackson State was also that team. So you thought that was A&T?
A&T never got to number 1. I think Jackson State got to number 1 at the end of the rankings.
Okay,
but
I just remember so often everyone was moving around, and Jackson State was either
Jackson State got to number 1 when they defeated Alabama State at the end of the season.
The regular season?
Yes, the last week of the regular season.
Okay.
Because I know Alabama State was 1 at one point in time. Howard was 1. Morgan was there as Morgan and Howard beat up on each other throughout the season, and of course Jackson State wound up at 1, and they actually got to 1, I believe, the last poll or the last ranking, and just rolled it on out through the tournament.
Yeah. I think that was the most interesting one by far,
And one other thing about that, I remember one week when I showed it to you, 1 through 4, 1 through 5, when we looked at the points, and when you talk about the point system we use, it was like a 1 percentage point difference between the number 1 and the number 14 in our ranking.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I was just trying to think here. The Talladega men ran away from people for so long that it took Stillman getting and doing what they did to actually catch them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if Stillman gets one more win, they are the clear-cut number 1.
Clear cut, right. And actually, I think had Talladega advanced to the round of 16 as well,
they are the clear-cut number 1.
They would have been the clear cut. So it just kind of worked out the way it did.
And guess what, Brian?
What?
They're in the same conference now.
Woo! It's gonna be a good, fun conference, man. Good fun conference. The SSAC just got a little bit better. All righty. So again, our small school national champion, Tuskegee Golden Tigers. Our large school women's national champion, the Jackson State Tigers. Our small school men's national champions, we have Stillman and Talladega. And then our large school national champion, Norfolk State, who managed to win the regular season MEAC and the conference tournament. So, yeah. All right. Well, Drew, anything else that we want to add on this postseason show before we get out of here?
Are we going to tease the fact that we are running the fantasy tournament again this year?
Why don't you let people know about that?
Beginning next week, we had so much fun doing it last year. We're going to run it back, as they say. The BCSN fantasy tournament, where fans get to vote on the national champion, just like you put your 2 cents in on our national player of the year at different levels. Whose fan base has the best fan base among the basketball fans? And do you want me to tease the top 4 seeds, Bryan?
Yeah, let's get the top 4 seeds in the women and the men.
All right. Our number one, we'll start with the women. Our number 1 overall seed is going to be Jackson State.
That's fitting.
Our other number 1 seeds will be North Carolina A&T, Howard, and Alabama State.
Okay, I like that. 2 from the SWAC, 2 from the MEAC. Basically, the championship games that we had. That's good.
All right. Moving over to the men's side, our number 1 overall is going to be the Spartans of Norfolk State, followed by Texas Southern, Prairie View, and Jackson State.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I think you had obviously you had the 1 and 2 seed, or the co-champs, I should say, in the men's side, Jackson State and Prairie View getting knocked off by Texas Southern. And so, yeah, it makes sense.
Right. And that voting will open up next week. You and I, we will do a podcast to preview the rankings, and we'll put it out there to the folks, and we'll run that throughout the month of April. Also, next Monday night, live right here on the Black College Sports Network and a few other platforms, Bryan, will be the debut show of Knights of the Round Table, a weekly podcast where members throughout HBCU sports just get together and talk shop. That's why it's called Knights of the Round Table. We have 9 subjects that we talk about within a 1-hour time span. Everybody will offer their opinion on those different subjects, Bryan, and I will be the host of the first podcast.
Okay.
And you know why we chose 9, Bryan?
You tell me, because that's a lot of topics.
Well, 9 topics within an hour. These will be quick hitters. These won't be long topics. But the reason we chose 9 topics were in honor of the Divine 9.
Okay. Well, hey, that looks like a jam-packed show. Looking forward to it. Okay, well.
That'll debut 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central on Monday night.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our postseason awards, our All-American teams, and our players of the year, our coaches of the year, our national champions. Hey, we want to give, again, congratulations to all the teams, all the players. I'm sure somebody may think somebody got left off. To sum it up, like Drew said, you pull someone off, who would you put in? Communicate with us at MyBCSN1 on Twitter. You can find Drew at BCSN Drew. Find me at DRB365. Let us know your thoughts. If you put someone on, who are you taking off? That's the rule. So congratulations to all the teams. we'll look around and see how we run it back next year. And hopefully we'll have full seasons and some cross-conference games and matchups and things of that good nature. So we'll kind of see what happens. So that'll do it, man. For AD Drew, I'm Brian Fulford. Thank you for watching this special edition of the Sports Wrap as we wrap up the 2021 college basketball season with our postseason honors. Make sure to read all about it on the website, mybcsn.net. Share, like, subscribe this episode with friends, family, basketball fans, HBCU alums, anyone you know that might care. All right, that's going to do it. You guys be safe, be smart, and we'll see you next time. For Brian, or actually for AD, I'm Brian. Peace out.
I'll holler.
But my beats, they are hard.